Lately, this drone has been making a lot of noise in the Ukrainian airspace and in the news. Over the past couple of months, Russia has launched various kamikaze drone attacks that's got Ukrainians worried, especially on October 10, 2022, when missile and drone strikes damaged numerous critical Ukrainian infrastructures nationwide, bringing down around 40% of the country's energy facilities. But why is it that these drones are suddenly getting so much international attention? Well, there are many reasons, like accusations that Iran is supplying them to Russia, or that they are being used to hit non-military targets. Although possibly the biggest reason is that these drones are so cheap that air defense systems are struggling to keep up with them. But how Ukrainians are planning to destroy kamikaze drones using their cell phones is not what you think. In December of 2021, Iranian state media published videos of an unmanned aerial vehicle, Shahed 136, a delta wing-shaped aircraft dubbed Kamikaze or suicide drone. Shahed 136 is a type of loitering munition, a crossover between a cruise missile and a drone. It differs from a cruise missile in that it can loiter for a relatively long period of time around its target area, kinda like a drone. But it's different from a drone in that it's one-time use, because loitering munitions have warheads, similar to a cruise missile, and they are designed to be destroyed upon hitting their target, hence the name kamikaze drone. But loitering munitions are nothing new. The US had sent hundreds of Switchblade 300 drones as part of an arms package to Ukraine. But the thing is, Iran came up with a new launcher for Shahed 136. The launcher looks like a regular truck, but not only does it hide drones during transportation, it can launch dozens of them in a swarm attack. Shahed 136 drones also have a range of 1,100 to 1,500 miles, compared to just over 6 miles for Switchblade 300. And finally, Shahed 136 drones carry a 90-pound warhead, which can inflict serious damage. It is believed that the September 2019 attack on Saudi oil processing facilities used similar loitering munition drones based on what was recovered from the attack site and showcased by the Saudi government. But what does any of this have to do with Ukraine? This video is sponsored by World of Tanks, and if you haven't played it yet, this offer will give you a chance to experience it like a pro. World of Tanks is a free online game enjoyed by over 100 million players who seek the thrill of commanding a beast made of steel while tearing across deserts and sneaking through forests. And if you're a new player, you don't have to wait, because you get the British Tier 5 Excelsior Premium Tank, 250,000 credits, 7-day premium access and more simply by clicking the link in the description or using the code TANKMANIA. With the game's historically accurate vehicles, you can target your enemies, block damage, and even properly conceal your tank. Join the global community of gamers who share your passion while you earn experience to modify and upgrade your tanks. You are one click away from creating a steel beast that's ready for any challenge. On July 11, 2022, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this during a news conference.
That the Iranian government is preparing to provide Russia with up to several hundred UAVs, including weapons-capable UAVs, on an expedition.
Declassified intelligence was later published, showing an aerial image that was supposedly taken on June 8th, claiming it was related to a visit of Russian officials at an Iranian airbase near the city of Kashan. Over the months of July and August, U.S. officials kept warning about the sales of Iranian UAVs to Russia, something that both Iran and Russia categorically denied. But then, on September 13th, about 2 months after Sullivan's news conference, Russia destroyed a number of Ukrainian artillery during the Kharkiv counteroffensive using delta-wing kamikaze drones. The drone pieces recovered from those attacks resemble the Iranian Shahed 136 drones, except for they were inscribed in Russian, Geran 2. Geran 2 closely resembles Shahed 136, and the fact that US intelligence had warned about this months in advance of their deployment against Ukraine has many convinced that Iran is supplying Shahed 136 drones to Russia and simply rebranding them with a Russian name. On November 5th, Iran's foreign minister acknowledged that Iran had indeed supplied Russia with a few drones, but that it was months before the Ukraine war had even begun. That said, the UK, France, and Germany are pushing the UN to investigate Iran on the matter of drone deliveries to Russia, something that Iran is strongly rejecting. Now, some reports suggest that Shahed-136 uses US civilian-grade GPS, while Garand-2 uses the Russian GLONASS for satellite navigation. Therefore, the drones are Russian. The evidence seems to be overwhelming, however, that Iran is most likely behind the supply of drones to Russia. But regardless of who's supplying these drones, the reality is that these delta-wing UAVs provide Russia with asymmetrical warfare capabilities that are quite crippling. First of all, these drones are relatively inexpensive, with a price tag of about $20,000. This means that for the price of a single $5 million Turkish Bayraktar TB2 drone, you can get 250 Shahed-136 drones. That excludes the cost of the ground control unit for TB2, which is also in millions of dollars. These Kamikaze drones are also a challenge for traditional radars to detect because their initial flight path is often low, about 100 feet above ground, and they are fairly small, creating a modest detection signature. They increase their altitude only before diving into the ground, at which time radar detection is too late. But even if radars could detect them, because they are so cheap to produce, a swarm of them could overwhelm anti-air defense systems. You have to consider that anti-air missiles have been traditionally used to destroy aircraft or other cruise missiles, not cheap drones. In November of 2022, Ukraine's defense minister said that they have received their first NASAMS defense system, which is meant to help Ukrainians transition their air defense systems from what is now a Soviet-type system to this modern technology. A NASAMS platoon, which includes 3 launchers for 18 missiles, a radar station, and a fire control panel, costs $23 million. And that's just the setup. The variety of missiles that NASAMS can launch aren't cheap either. For example, AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles have a unit cost in the range of $300,000 to $400,000. Iris-T infrared homing missiles cost around $400,000 each, and a single AIM-120 AMRAAM missile costs a whopping $1.2 million. This makes traditional air defense systems economically non-viable against kamikaze drone attacks. So what do you do now? The good old bullets. On October 17th, 3 Kyiv police officers heard the sound of a drone overhead and started shooting at it with their AK-47s, causing the drone to crash. Even though members of the public praised the officers for their quick reaction, Ukrainian officials are urging citizens not to try it themselves. Remember that at the onset of the war, thousands of weapons were handed out to Ukrainians to defend their homeland. But civilians shooting at a fast-moving drone is more likely to injure others than to hit the drone. This is why Ukraine is now asking for CRAM units, which is traditionally used for shooting down rockets and other artillery fire. CRAMs use an M61A1 Gatling gun, which can fire 4,500 20mm rounds per minute. That's 75 bullets per second. And even though CRAMs would be able to shoot down kamikaze drones at much lower cost compared to anti-air missiles, they have a limitation. Their effective firing range is just under 1 mile. This makes CRAM a good candidate only for defending fixed, high-value assets like power plants and other key infrastructure. So anti-air missiles are effective but too expensive. Bullets are cheap but have limited range. So how do you take out a swarm of fast drones? I'll let this guy explain it.
The thing that can take out a swarm of fast drones is a bigger swarm of faster drones.
That was Palmer Luckey, the guy who founded Oculus VR, which was acquired by Facebook in 2014. Then, in 2017, he founded a defense technology company called Anduril Industries. One of the things that they make is drones that destroy other drones. It is reported that Ukraine wants to acquire these drone interceptors to help combat the kamikaze drones. But Ukraine has come up with one more thing that could help defend against kamikaze drone attacks, and there is an app for it. Remember how we said radars have a difficult time detecting these relatively small drones? Well, they may be small, but they are extremely loud, which means people can hear them and can in turn report them using an app called EPPO. When users see a threat in the sky, they simply select the type of air target on the app, be it a cruise missile or a kamikaze drone. Then point their smartphones in the direction of the target and press the big red button. This information is then pooled and used to supplement information from military radars. This is called crowdsourcing, and it's the same concept that the navigation app Waze uses to collect feedback from millions of users who report seeing accidents on the road or identify where cops have set up speed traps. But this Ukrainian app echoes previous systems of public air defense that date back to World War II. The Royal Observer Corps was a network of volunteer spotters who worked closely with the Royal Air Force to identify German aircraft and even missiles that were flying over the UK during the war. On October 22nd, the app developer confirmed that they had helped track and shoot down a Russian missile for the first time. But the true effectiveness of this app would have to be evaluated over time. The Kamikaze drones yet again show the power of asymmetric warfare. Just like how Ukraine was able to use $30,000 NLAWs to destroy $10 million Russian tanks, now Russia is sending in swarms of $20,000 Kamikaze drones that cost way too much to shoot down. But one thing is for sure. Historically, wars have accelerated technological development in order to solve specific military needs. Whether it's a drone, an app, or crowdsourcing before the internet even existed. It is just a matter of time. If you're new to World of Tanks, you can play it for free like a pro using this offer. Get the British Tier 5 Excelsior Premium Tank, 250,000 credits, 7-day premium access and more simply by clicking the link in the description or using the code TANKMANIA. You are one click away.